insulin to secrete? What type of cells?
Beta.
Beta cells in the pancreas secrete insulin. And what type of cells down below? Alpha cells secrete glucagon. Okay? Now the big thing that I'm going to be looking for is, well, how does insulin lower your blood glucose and how does glucagon raise it? And again, that is in the effectors up here. You can't see, my laser won't go that far. But the effectors tell you the how. So the how insulin drops your blood glucose is it drives glucose into the cells for energy, and it stimulates the formation of glycogen in your liver and muscles. And then it should drop your blood glucose back within normal range. Now, I ask you a question, and you may see it on the test, is what should your blood glucose be in the morning when you wake up after fasting? And it should be between 70 and 110 if your feedback loop is working correctly, because during the night, right, glucagon, really in cortisol, but glucagon is going to raise your blood glucose by the breakdown of that glycogen back into glucose and converting non-carbs to carbs, okay, or into glucose. Any questions on that? There are also 2 to 3 videos that you can watch if you're still struggling with this. But you got to pass this, because you got to be able to explain this to patients, because there's so many diabetics. So if you don't, I'm going to probably make you rewrite at least this. Even if you get past the test, if you miss this, I'm going to make you rewrite it. Okay, be able to distinguish between IDDM and NIDDM, and it says use a T-chart for this comparison. Does anybody know what a T-chart is? Okay, excellent. So I want you to make it easy for me and do a T-chart. That's why we call it a T-chart. It's a T, and then I want you to put, and I don't care what you put, I mean you can put IDDM or type 1, and then you're going to put non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus or type 2. So now you guys tell me, what's the difference? Tell me how to use this chart.
Isn't it 10% is type 1?
Okay. So if I put that on this side, what's on that side?
90%.
90%. What else?
Type 1 is insulin dependent.
So this one, it tells you, right? Non-insulin dependent. And if you write that, then you should ask yourself, well, why are these insulin dependent?
Because their pancreas isn't producing it.
It's an autoimmune disease. Your body attacks your pancreas and you can't do it. So what's the opposite over here then? What causes type 2?
You do it to yourself.
What?
You do it to yourself.
Yeah, this is going to be diet / obesity. Okay? And so really, you're going to become what? Insulin resistant. So over here, right, you're insulin dependent.
You have to monitor it all the time.
Thank you. So now I have to monitor So do I have to monitor over here?
You just have to make sure you're eating enough.
Yeah, so no daily monitoring over here. You just should be watching your diet and exercising, okay? So you're monitoring daily. Anything else you guys want to add to that? I guess not. Let me see. I can't remember either.
I feel like there was something
Let's
else.
see if we need to add anything else.
Hemoglobin A1C on my test too.
Oh yeah.
Below 6%.
Oh yeah, and then each one above that it goes up however much. 30? Question mark?
Yeah, we're gonna cover that one in probably another one here. Okay, so that's good. Yeah, if we want to put hemoglobin A1C, that's good. And that's the abbreviation for hemoglobin, by the way. Hemoglobin A1C equals 6%. So you get the idea. So it's probably going to be worth 5 to 6 points. Just look at the points. Make sure you have that many things on your charts. They'll be worth a point apiece. Does everybody understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'll probably make them worth half. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Okay. All right. Next one. Be able to list the major symptoms of diabetes and explain why diabetic patients have these symptoms. I just saw that right there. Okay, so those symptoms are under type 1. And yeah, you got to know the scientific terms: polyuria, polydipsia, and polyphagia. So polydipsia is extreme thirst or uncontrollable thirst. But let's get the why. So somebody tell me the why. Don't mumble. Be confident. Say it.
Because the glucose is going into the cells, so you like increase thirst of the water.
Not quite, because you said glucose is going into the cells.
It's going
No, it's not going in at all. That's an important distinction. So remember, I drew this up here, and let me explain why. So here's all my sugar in here, right? Got all my sugar. My blood glucose is high. I want to get to what you said. You said glucose is going in. Why do they have a strong desire to eat then? Because they're not getting that glucose is not going in. It's stuck. It is sitting in their cardiovascular system. It's not being absorbed for energy. So the carbohydrate, they are eating carbs, but they're not feeling the result of those carbs, right? Because those carbs are not doing anything. There's no insulin to drive it into the cells, or they're insulin resistant. So they feel what? They're going to crave carbohydrates, even though they're eating carbohydrates, because those are stuck. So that's why they're always hungry, because they're like, I'm eating food, but I don't feel it, right? So all of those carbohydrates are not doing anything in their body. So therefore, they feel hungry all the time. They're thirsty all the time because of exactly what you did say, or somebody said, is from these cells, water is, again, doesn't give a hoot, it always goes to an area of higher solute. It's pulling water out of your cells. So your diabetic patients are going to be extremely dehydrated. Okay, try to stick an IV in them. It's not going to be fun because their vessels are going to be collapsed. So they're going to be extremely dehydrated. So they're thirsty all the time. Those osmoreceptors up here are going to say, man, I got a lot of solute, I need to dilute. So they're just going to sit there and drink. And if you're drinking that much water, then you're going to have to do what?
Urinate.
You're going to have to pee. okay? So that you're taking on massive fluid volume, so you're gonna have to pee. Now can everybody explain all three? Okay, that's what I care most about. I'm glad you can memorize those words, but unless you know what they mean, doesn't mean anything to me. So you gotta be able to tell me the why of how those happen. Does everybody get that? Everybody's cool. Okay.
Is that for both type 1 and type 2?
That's a great question. I get asked that question all the time. And I would say, depending upon how bad your type 2 diabetes is, but yes, I think type 2 diabetes are going to have most of the same things. Now, again, they're secreting insulin, so they may not be as hungry, but they're usually craving those. And I'm again, I'm taking this from observations, which really don't mean anything, but it's one of the things I want you guys to realize is that, so when you see the person going through the grocery store who's obese and they have a bunch of Coke and cookies and stuff in their basket, it's because that's what they crave, right? So diabetes kind of makes you crave those things. And if they're not educated, then they don't really realize what that's doing to them. Does that make sense?